an adorable picture of your pet that you'd like to turn into award-winning art? Hi, I'm Sandra Angelo. If you love your kittens and you want to capture their silly antics, join me for my workshops that teach you how to capture those warm moments with your dogs and turn those into graphite renderings and colored pencil art. You can do it two ways. You can either join me in my online workshops through Northlight Shop, where I teach you how to work in graphite pencil as well as colored pencil. Or you can take this course at home as a self-study guide with workbooks and companion DVDs. I really hope you can join us. I find that people have a really hard time with fluffy fur, and so that's what I'm going to show you right now. I'm going to draw a picture of this fluffy cat that I saw on the set of the television show the last time I was there. The first thing that you do is you actually take the contour line drawing. I like to do an outline first, and then I'm going to paper clip this to my black paper, and I'm going to use what's called transfer paper. This is white transfer paper, so it'll show up on black. I paper clip this into place, and then I take a colored pencil, and I usually like to use a sharp pencil, and I use a colored one so I can tell where I've already gone with my drawing. And I press fairly gently on the surface here because I don't want to create a groove in my paper. If you press too hard, you'll create a groove and then you won't be able to get it out. So I press very, very gently with my pencil and I run it along the edges here. And I'm not going to do very much of this because I'm only going to demonstrate just a little tiny portion of it. But you want to be sure you at home would complete the whole thing before you lift this up. I'm just going to take it up right now. And by the way, before you completely undo it, lift the corner to see whether or not it's actually coming through. And sure enough, it is coming through. So we don't have to worry about that. And now I'm going to show you how to draw a fluffy cat. Okay, the first thing that you do is you take your white pencil and you sharpen it. You got to get your pencils really, really sharp when you do this. And I'm going to show you out to the side here what the stroke looks like. I press a little bit harder at the start. Remember when I talked about the cheetah drawing on colored paper earlier? I talked about fur. You press a little harder at the beginning of the stroke and a little softer at the end. A little harder at the beginning and a little lighter at the end. You kind of lift up the pencil as you stroke it. And that's what you do when you do fur. So I'm going to do the furry edges right here. You have to be a little bit careful here. If you go over this edge, you don't want that line to show. So a lot of times I'll take a kneaded eraser, and by the way, this is what a kneaded eraser looks like when you buy it. It's just in a little plastic pack. It's a little square like that. But this is like what it looks like when you've used it. You tear it apart like this, and that gets it clean, gets rid of all the graphite or whatever it's got on there. And you use this to just lift color off. So now that I've put the line down where I want it, I've lifted the color, so you probably can't even see that on camera, but I can still see it. You want just a ghost of a line, because you don't want a white edge there, or it's going to look like a coloring book. So you don't want to do that. You lift the line just before you get to it. And I'm pressing really, really light and fluffing out these edges. With these cats, this is like a Persian cat, and so this kind of a cat is really fluffy. Have you ever washed one of these cats? It's really funny. When you wash them, they're just this bag of bones with drooping fur. It's so funny. I washed my cat the other day, and she looks so strange. But when they aren't wet, they just fluff out like crazy. And so you want to fluff these edges out, these real fluffy edges on the cat. Now, one of the things that's really hard about this is going back and making sure that this section blends into the next one. And that's what people really have trouble with, is blending this into the next section. I'm going to do that in just a minute. Go back over my lines. I'm very gentle. I don't press real hard. Okay, now I'm going to go back into this section. I'm going to blend the fur. I don't want to create ridges, because if I have ridges right there, then I'm going to have a real problem with it looking like raccoon fur, and it won't blend together. So I'm going to just overlap those very, very gently. And you notice I keep going back over it again and again. And if my pencil gets a little bit dull, I twist it, because one side will start to get sharper than the other side. And so I'll twist it so that I end up on the flat side. And I can sharpen it periodically. kind of obnoxious noise. When you sharpen it, always be sure that you wipe off the crumbs on your dust brush before you begin again. Otherwise, you get crumbs all over your paper. And if you press those crumbs into the paper, they become embedded and you can't get them out. We'll continue drawing here, blending these edges, making this real fluffy. And now, after I'm done with this little section, I'm going to come back and add the magic touch, which will make it look like that cat. That cat is actually kind of a black-blue. A lot of black, really solid black colors really have a blue tinge to them. And so I'm going to come back and I'm going to add a little bit of blue. And surprisingly, I'm going to add a really dark blue. I'm ready to go to that. I grab my dark blue, real sharp lead, and I come back over this and I'm pressing really, really light. And I'm coloring this slightly with blue. So make it look like it's a little bit stronger highlight than the other area. It's just a little bit more interesting, I think, than just drawing with plain white pencil. A lot of times if you use just one pure color, it lays there a little bit. So I like to mix the colors up just a little bit. You can see that's starting to get blue. Look at the difference between that section and that section. It's very subtle, but you know, those kind of subtle differences are what separate the really good artists from the ones that are sort of beginners. So we come back and stroke that over with blue. Now let me show you what would happen if you press too hard. If you press too hard with the white or you press too hard with the blue, you're going to get a really strong, bright shine that's glaring at you. Let me show you what I mean by that. If I come back here with this white pencil and I press really hard with that pencil, and then I come back on top of that and I press hard with my blue, you're going to see I'm going to get a really glaring dark blue. So I really don't like that. And if I put the blue down first and I press really hard with my white pencil, again, I'm going to get a glaring blue that looks almost baby blue, and that just doesn't look like that fur. The difference between this section over here and the section that I just drew is that in this section that I just drew, I'm allowing the paper to show through. And so the paper is contributing something to that fur. It's turning it black.
I've invented a really cool technique where you can take ordinary photos of your pets, turn them into beautiful graphite renderings that are very detailed, and later turn that into a colored pencil piece using my magical grease eye technique. In my hands-on online workshop sponsored by Northlight, I'm going to teach you how to create fabulous drawings of both dogs and cats. It'll be so much fun. I hope you can join us.